Hello, it's me Sutra here, and this specific shot right now is very exciting because I am filming on a camera for the first time. If you've been here for a while, pretty much all of my videos prior have been recorded on my iPhone, and it still shoots in 4K and it's great and it's easy, but I just really wanted to add more richness to this content because I've got the energy I really want to create on here. And let me show you the studio that I'm currently in. I love it, but it is just a really funny setup. And so this couch area is really the ideal place for me to film, but I'm literally like kneeling, squatting on the couch to get this angle. And if I'm on an iPhone, oh my gosh, I need to time when the sun is going up and down, because if there's no light coming and if it's on the other side of the house, we got no shot and it's just really grainy and low quality. So I'm really grateful for this camera lens. I'm grateful that I got to buy it. I'm grateful for unemployment. I'm grateful for spaciousness to do this and play with it. But as I'm figuring this out, you're just gonna experience it in real time. But let's just go right into it. This video is about a trip that just took a turn of events and went really unexpectedly, but also I share some amazing places we visited in the central coast of California. So basically it's been on my bucket list to make a road trip all the way up from San Diego, where we're at, to Washington, like literally up the entire central coast, up through Oregon to the Pacific Northwest. And we would come back on the more inland route where it's like Yosemite National Park, Sequoia, Death Valley, like all of the inland national parks. I'm actually gonna really just break down what caused the turn of events and what was coming up for me, because it was heavy, it was dense, it was emotional, there was a full moon all leading up to it, there was just other things going on. So I'm gonna break that all down towards the end of the video, but right now we're gonna just get into the vlogging portion, because I was able to just capture some really great moments of the trip and places that you should absolutely visit if you are touring around the central coast of California. Hello from Santa Barbara. We are really excited for dinner tonight because we're going to this place called St. Bibiana's that does sourdough pizza with organic ingredients. And I didn't really get to film our stop at Olipop in Orange County, but they also do incredible donuts that are sourdough, 40-hour fermentation using farmers market ingredients and organic local ingredients. So a big part of our trip is foodie things, and it's been a really cool process to have food like donuts and pizza, but a sourdough, just more wholesome version. So that's where we're going tonight. Yeah, this will be kind of like our first official destination stop of our road trip, but where we're staying tonight is a town called Cayucos that is still a little bit north. All right, mic check 1 2 1 2. It's really my first time hopping on here with some voiceover. All right, we got the whole shebang. It's got all the meat on it. I can literally smell the sauce. It's like so complex, so much depth. I'm so excited. Sourdough, organic ingredients. Let's go. Breakfast the next morning was banana oatmeal and some meat. Cooked this up on a little Coleman stove, but we also brought out this Blackstone that Kevin's setting up. This is the Airbnb outside, which was really cute. There was no kitchen, so we brought out this Blackstone. It's a fold-out like cast iron griddle situation. It was part of the overwhelm of bringing so much with us, but the food that we did cook on it turned out great. Okay, so we're currently staying in a cute, very cozy little Airbnb in the quaint town of Cayucos. It is kind of below Big Sur near Cambria and above San Luis Obispo. And it's an Airbnb, but there is no actual kitchen in it. So we still set up our little propane grill fire situation, and Kevin Cito brought out the Blackstone, which has been just a trial and error process. We've actually only used it one time. This morning I am making cacao, which is an absolute must. I brought the last remaining of my Maya Moon ceremonial cacao, and this is the setup right here. We had this meal basically all of the nights we stayed there, and it really felt like a camping vibe. So we got to enjoy like a bed in the Airbnb, but since there was no kitchen, we leaned into like a camping style prep for food. I had made some bone broth, threw in some carrots, kale, and ground beef, and it really felt so nourishing. The following day, we went to the town of Morro Bay and stumbled across this amazing farmer's market. We got baked goods, honey, and we also literally saw a vendor that was selling sheepskins, which blew my mind because I had been wanting one forever. So we ended up getting one, and the guy was, you know, crafting them himself, and they are sourced from the Central Coast. So it's literally sheep from the Central Coast of California, raised there, and he's getting the furs or the wools or the sheepskins, whatever you want to call them, and really shaping them. And I was so excited to grab one of these. It just felt like such a great farmers market experience. They also had an incredible coffee shop, which is right behind where I'm looking at these sheepskins, called Scout Coffee, which I highly recommend checking out. And just walking distance from our Airbnb was this beautiful beach called Sand Dollar Beach, and I now know why it was called Sand Dollar Beach. I didn't even know it was called that before we found all of these sand dollars. It was crazy. We picked up one, and then we kept on finding more and more, and yeah, it was just such a great time. Okay, we are now in Cambria, and the next foodie stop we're doing is called the Hidden Kitchen. There's actually 2 locations, but today we're at the Cambria location that's only open on weekends, and they do organic blue corn waffles. If you are driving up the California coast, this is like an absolute must to visit. I am by these beautiful lavenders. There's some chunky bees on here. I feel like I have even more appreciation for this place. I visited it a few years ago, but just wanting to do more gluten-free options and then getting organic blue corn, and I'm just a sucker for waffles. So we got a savory option and a sweet option. These blue corn waffles really fueled us up because we continued to drive up the coast that day. So we were in Cambria here where the Hidden Kitchen was, and then we continued up to San Simeon where all of these elephant seals are just chilling. But we also came across all of these vultures, which was just insane to see because the closer we looked, they were literally picking at a seal. I think this seal was different than the elephant seals, which are all just lounging. The seal that they were eating, as you can see here, looked a lot smaller, but it was just crazy. I just think it's so cool to see animals just all primal in their nature like that. We are currently at Elephant Seal Vista Point along the Central Coast in the San Simeon area. This spot is so nostalgic for me because I feel like every single California coastal road trip I did with my parents, we camped a lot growing up, we stopped at the spot, and I remember seeing the seals and being so excited and just overwhelmed as a kid. And this time was different. We stopped by, we saw all those vultures getting at a seal, and I don't know, this time just as an adult, I took more time to just really learn about the seals, and there was also docents here and volunteers educating people on them. I did not know seals migrate all the way to Alaska, and they said they have it recorded that some seals even migrate all the way out to Japan, which is crazy. And even though they're resting a lot here, when they are out in hunting season, they are diving, they are traveling thousands and thousands of miles. So I don't know, that's just wild. This is their home, and even if they go all the way out to Alaska or Japan, they know to come back here, which is wild. Also wanted to give you a better look at the sheepskin that we bought at the Central Coast. Honestly, we were joking around that our entire trip was like worth it because of this find. It's so beautiful, and the way that the guy had cut it, it just feels very, very primal, because a lot of people, they cut so it's just the like wool part, but he kept on a lot of the actual like hair and skin part, and he was actually kind of shaping it and finishing it up right with us. So this just feels like a beautiful masterpiece, and I kind of put my feet on here often just to rub them, and it's gonna be so cozy in the winter, and just pet it for fun. So all in all, this trip up to the Central Coast was beautiful. We stayed in the quaint town of Cayucos and explored a little bit of Morro Bay. We even went up to Cambria and San Simeon, which is right south of the Big Sur area. It's so beautiful this time of year. It was very overcast as well, so it just felt very cozy, because here in inland San Diego, where we're at, we were still experiencing heat waves. It's actually right now, as I film this, it's like 85 degrees today towards the end of October. So it was nice to just kind of step away from that. Basically, well, to be fair, when we started the trip, I was like deep on my period, but you know, this unemployed life, I keep saying unemployed, but when you look up the definition of unemployed, it means someone who's actively looking for work. And I'm not actively looking for work, I'm choosing this, but also with choosing freedom, the theme that's coming up for me is like with freedom, there's sometimes more overwhelm because you just have so many choices and options and space. I'm very much a disciplined, structured person, and I really intentionally have wanted to peel away from that and figure out who I am amidst the chaos, which is like very new for me. And with that, a lot of new feelings are coming up for me. So with this trip, it's gonna sound a little bit materialistic and just like stuff related, but I just feel like our stuff, like sometimes our physical stuff, reflects a lot of our emotional, mental stuff and well-being. And that's why actually a lot of people like to choose minimalism. But basically, the original game plan was to drive up to Washington, right? And we were going to do a combination of like booking places, but also camping places. And we didn't book anything prior. It was supposed to be a very like free-flowing trip. We drive to a place, we love it. We're like, oh, we want to stay here for like 3 days. And then we find a different place, don't like it, keep driving. So the whole point of the trip was like max freedom and just total spontaneity and exploration. I'm not saying I'm never gonna have this opportunity again, but for myself and my partner to both have this opportunity at the same time and not feel like such a tight timeline and constricted, it's a really unique thing. But you know, when you're like given a certain amount of space, whether it's like a house that you're living in or an apartment or a studio or like the car size you have, however much space you have, you just make it work. Like a fridge is a great example, a fridge and a freezer. I'm currently in a place with a smaller fridge. I do have a chest freezer, but a smaller fridge. And I've been in a place with a massive fridge and I just like end up filling it up, whatever size it's at. And I've lived in a house where I've literally had access to 2 rooms and then more and storage and a garage to store all my stuff. And then I've also lived in a place that's like very cozy, a studio, living with someone, which is like where I'm at currently. And you just make it work with the space you're given. So on this trip, we decided to take our SUV and it's like a decent size, like a pretty good size. And we were like, yeah, we want to bring all of the things that are like really meaningful for us. We really value high quality food, just good quality equipment. Like we like to bring our stainless steel pots and pans and utensils to eat with, not using any plastic, not using chemicals. We like to bring our own soaps, all of the things. And then, you know, it's like pretty hot down here in Southern California, but it can get really cold and rainy in Washington. So we're also packing for like all of the different temperatures and climates. And even feeling like we were packing the bare essentials with a little extra, but you know, we just want to like enjoy and feel comfortable, and we don't know how long we're going to be gone for. It could be 2 weeks or even more than that. So we just wanted to bring all the essentials, and we ended up kind of filling up the car, but it was just so packed that anytime, so once we got to the Central Coast, like anytime we wanted to cook or take things out or do different things, it was such a big effort. And luckily we only stayed in one place, but I got a glimpse of how much work it would be if we were taking out our whole setup and all of our things and putting it back in the car. And just to get it all to fit, it's like I kind of need access to multiple things. It's not like I can just take a little small bag and put it back and forth. So that felt really overwhelming. Like, I don't know why, you guys, like the amount of stuff we had just felt so overwhelming that it made me feel like very discouraged about the trip, because like I absolutely want to be active, and again, like it could have felt amplified because I was on my period and I was just like not wanting to move stuff. But even knowing like, oh, I'm gonna get more energy once I'm like out of my menstrual phase, more into my follicular and ovulatory phases, but I was like, I just do not want to like pack in and pack out of the car. I like having extra space. Like even within a home I'm living in, I like when there's some free spaces and everything's not packed to the brim. Like to me, that thought was almost like I would rather like turn back, like really pack light and do a redo of this trip. I don't know if that's what we're doing, but we are thinking of a part 2 trip. But all of this to say, I feel like when you are given more freedom, there's more overwhelm, coming back to that theme. And growing up, like if I was going on a trip with my parents camping, you know, if I'm really young, they're packing for me. If I'm like in my teenage years, my dad was really strict about this. He'd be like, you got a bag, you just need to fit everything in it, make it work. And it felt like the rules actually kept me disciplined in packing very tightly. Or if I'm going on an airplane, like the airline's gonna have limitations, and if you want to bring more, they might charge you more for a bag. So you're trying to be very efficient with it. But the beautiful thing about a road trip is like you can have liquids that are more than 3 ounces, and you can bring all the things that you might not be able to bring on an airline, but no one's really restricting you. And it's just myself and my partner, and we want to support each other in the things we want to bring. We're both excited about all the things we're bringing because it's high quality stuff. But it just meant like packing the car to the brim, and it like really felt like everything was essential. So this is what I mean. I know it just sounds like it's a bunch of material stuff, but it really brought a lot of overwhelm. And I think there's some lightness when you feel like you're not carrying much. And I know so many people, probably especially women, relate to me on just like packing more than what's necessary, and then you just like end up wearing the same 3 things during your whole trip. But we just wanted to be prepared for all the activities. The other thing coming up, and this has just been coming up in waves, it was coming up even after we came back, and that's when I was like, I think it was a good decision that, you know, we decided to turn back, and I was the one really asking for it. And it's just that feeling of almost feeling lost in directionlessness, like not feeling you have a direction. And of course, like a lot of this is going to come up, and it's natural when you're no longer working, but you know, not having a place or a destination to be right away, not feeling like you have to hustle and grind right away to make money. And it's a beautiful feeling of safety, but it brings up a different type of overwhelm and stress, because now I feel like I have all these options and I'm just trying to decide. I got some incredible body work yesterday. I'll link, if you're in San Diego, I'll link my bodywork practitioner's details below. She does massage, but she infuses cupping and abdominal massage. She will be a licensed acupuncturist soon too. Elaine's great. But before she even knew anything, she was like, are you dealing with a lot of like indecisiveness, like decision making? And I was like, whoa, it didn't hit me until she brought it up. And I was listening to a different thing, and it was saying your mind can't always store all of the things that are going on, and eventually it's gonna filter in through your body, and your body is gonna start to hold the things that your mind can't store. And that's why movement, but also body work and just different ways of release. Sex is an amazing one, of course, as well. And so your body needs to continually release it and move it around. And the body work was really impactful for me. I had felt it specifically along my side body. I was told it was like very linked to gallbladder, but just feeling it so much in my neck, it's just been so prone to getting stiff and stuck. And then I felt some like nerve pinching around my hips and waist area, and just like side body, a lot of side body. I'm a big believer that just because something physically hurts, it's not like you just hurt it or you did this movement. It's not so mechanical. I think so much of it is always like stress or emotionally related. And so I've just been meditating with that for the past 24 hours of like, okay, what is my body still carrying? Where do I feel like I have to make decisions? Where am I teetering in my mind? And where can I release it? And it is a consistent surrender to the present moment. I think this is like such a beautiful thing about life, is like we are always rerouting to the present moment again and again and again. I was thinking about this, and I'm like, I'm sure monks can maybe be in the present moment like 24/7, but like for the average person, especially when we're in a place where we're constantly, there's things always trying to pull our attention, and we are, you know, motivated, passionate, creative souls and individuals. And so we are like wanting to go to the next thing or do the next thing. And we have hormones like dopamine that want to be spiked and excited. So really being present and just completely surrendering to the present moment is a consistent rerouting. And this is why I love just the idea of coming back home again and again, and like really allowing yourself in the disarray and the chaos to be like, okay, I recognize I'm overwhelmed, I'm in disarray, I'm really being pulled away from the present moment, and now let me come back. And knowing it's a process of coming back again and again and again, and not wronging yourself for being in the chaos. Okay, that's what I got today. I know this was just a video that was very dynamic, with some camera content, with some voiceover, and with some vlogging through our Central Coast, and just some reflections. But literally, this is life, you know? I'll keep you posted if we are doing a part 2 of this trip, which it looks like we are. It's on the horizon. But yeah, man, I am just in the surrender of like whatever is coming. I will say, and I don't know how many people on here are into astrology, I just take nuggets here and there, but I swear the August full moon, that's right at about the week where a lot was coming up for me and I got let go from my job. Come September, another big thing in the family happened, and it was also bubbling up a lot for me. And now, just a few days ago, we had our full moon, and I just had such a buildup of a release that needed to happen, and this trip was leading up to that full moon. So yeah, I just think the astrological like milestones or events are really nice to just give yourself permission to pause and take a step back and be like, what themes are coming up for me? All right, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in here and for watching. I'm excited to have this camera and be filming, and I am just so grateful for your presence on here. It just really means so much, and I feel like this platform feels the best for me. So thank you for your presence.